Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Scyushi and this is going to end up being a trading guide. Something that's been a little bit long overdue. I know most people already know how to do this by now, but hopefully this video will end up aging like a fine wine. What we're going to cover today is buying, selling some third-party programs that you can use on PC to help with that process. But we're also going to be talking about price checking, and generally speaking, I'm going to try and be as quick and to the point as possible in this tutorial, but it doesn't mean that it won't end up being a bit of a longer video because there's a lot of details that we have to cover. So first, let's talk about currency exchange. When you end up getting to cruel difficulty, the gambling merchants in the game will allow you to do currency exchange, which will let you swap the various currencies in the game, most of all relating to gear crafting, with divine orbs being like the big one, and then there's mirrors and other things. Essentially how this works is you just select what you want. So let's say that I want exalted orbs and I want to exchange my divine for exalted orbs. We can see that the ratio is 284 exalts for one divine. Generally speaking, then you would place order, and then so long as you have the currency exchange at a decent enough value, it should just instantaneously complete, and then you can grab the items and put them in your inventory. As you can see, you can do this with pretty much all of the items in the game. Well, at least all of the currency items that can go onto gear and stuff, which is awesome. I just wish that you could do this with everything, like all of the gear and everything else, because the gear itself, oh boy, selling. Okay, let's get into selling gear. So before you can end up selling anything, you're going to have a premium stash tab. So you can upgrade one of your existing garbage tabs into a premium tab, or you could get my personal recommendation, the premium quad stash tab, which is going to end up being kind of a massive storage tab that will also double as being a premium tab. Keep in mind, I do have another video that talks about the various stash tabs in the game and how they go on sale almost every weekend. So don't buy them yet if they're not on sale. Once you do end up actually having a premium stash tab, you can set this so that each item is individually priced, set negotiable price on all items, or set exact price on all items. So what this does is it allows you to, well, just do exactly what it mentions. I personally wish that the game would let you buy and sell things offline without any player interaction if it was an exact price. And then if you set it for negotiable, that I think would end up being where you would start trading with other players. But then at any point you would just select a piece of gear and you would go to exact price. And let's say I wanted some exalted orbs, and then I would just punch in the price of this. Let's just set it to 50 because no one's gonna buy it. And then this item shows up on the trade website for 50 exalted orbs. So I'll put a link in the description, and this is going to end up being the trade website. You're going to have to log in to the same email that you have associated with your account, and then at any point you can end up searching items on the market. So if I was trying to find out what the price of this item would be, I would just look at the primary stats that people value, like the rarity, minions, and resistances. And I would start punching all of that in to the various stat filters. And then you would put in the minimum value so that it would end up matching the one that you're putting in. And then you could go into even more detail and have like the armor and evasion rating, but instead we're just gonna search this. And we can see that, okay, on average, people are selling an item like this for 3 exalt, 10 exalt. This is probably a scam bot. We'll get into that a little bit later, but generally speaking, you just kind of scroll down, start seeing what people are valuing this item, and then you price it accordingly. If you're trying to sell or trade something very specific, you might want to change the rarity from, say, unique to rare, because in some cases there might be an item that is a unique that conflicts. But the problem is that there are a lot of bot accounts, and I'm not saying that this guy's necessarily a bot account, but usually you'll see like an item that's really valuable marked at like maybe 1 exalt or something, and it goes for like 5 different pages of 1 exalt, 1 exalt, 1 exalt. What this is a bot account trying to trick new players into thinking that their valuable item is really cheap. So then they inevitably list the item for that cheap, and then somebody buys it up, usually a bot account, and then they flip it. Another very, very huge problem with the trading, and this is why I think that trading should be done in-game, offline, set an exact price, buy the item for that price, is because sometimes you'll see valuable items listed really low because the player is just trying to have it show up for other people. And then when you whisper them, they're like, oh yeah, I'm not selling it for that. Here's the real price, which technically you can actually report them for scamming you because this is listed as exact price, not negotiable. And unfortunately, I don't think that the website is going to ever get any better, and they're not going to ever have in-game trading that avoids all of this, which would resolve a lot of the problems with it. Now on PC, you have access to some third-party programs that can make this whole process of selling items and pricing them a lot better. There's Overwolf, which has some built-in apps that you can end up using for trading. I don't use those. I use this program called Sidekick because it's just some simple, quick and easy installer. And then all you do is you hover over the item, click Control D, and then it's going to end up showing up with this. And then you can just select the values that you want to price compare to. And there you go. You can already see, okay, so the cheapest that somebody's selling my same item for is 30, but of course they have qualityed it up and it has better magic find and so on and so forth. So I would probably list this for maybe 25 Exalt. But now let's go through the process of actually buying an item. So in most cases, you would look at your gear and be like, okay, I need to have something better than this. I want to have very, very similar stats to this, but I want to have 35% movement speed. So what I would do is I would just punch in boots with the same fire, magic find, chaos resist, because that's what I have set up for my character right now that gives me max resistances. And then I would just change the movement speed to be 35%. Then we would search and now we can see, oh, okay, so here's one that's for 50 exalted. It's pretty much the exact same. I do lose a little bit of armor, but I do get energy shield, so that's nice. But you might want to scroll down a little bit because here's someone selling it for the exact same price, but this one's got more magic find and more resistance overall. And then it immediately goes into 200 exalt, which no thank you. So what do you need more of? Do I need to have more energy shield or do I need more magic find? In which case, let's whisper this guy by just clicking direct whisper. And then what that's going to do is it's going to end up automatically sending him a message in game for the price in his local language, which is really handy. Unfortunately, he may or may not be a scam account, or maybe he's just not willing to actually sell it. So I'm going to end up whispering the other player, and he seems to be Japanese, but am I going to get a response? I don't know. So what would happen next in this situation if they actually responded to me? Well, I wouldn't get an actual chat response. Instead, I would just get a party invite. Then I would end up joining their party and then warping to where they are, which would more than likely be their hideout. This is why you'll usually see people set up like their stash and such around the waypoint, because you want to warp to the person and be able to get access to your storage as soon as possible. More ideally, you would just have the items in your inventory ready to go. You would join their world, you would trade invite them, and then you would end up buying the item. Keep in mind for brand new players of this game that maybe this is your first time ever trading, you do have to hover over the item to confirm that it's the item that you want before you can accept the trade. And if you were selling items, it would just be the exact same process, but reversed, where people would whisper you would right click them, invite them to your party, and then they should join you in your hideout. Don't try to join them. At which point you just say thank you and then you kick them from the party. And yeah, that pretty much covers all of the trading. Again, I wish that we could just trade stuff outright from our stash without having to go through this process of whispering them and stuff, because then you get issues like this, where in this video, I'm trying to get an upgrade. They've listed it for this price, but they're just ignoring me, probably because the value of the actual item is like 200 exalt, but they're just undercutting so that they can try and get more people offering for them. Another thing to keep in mind is certain items have a lot of value and you might not know why. So for example, a stellar normal amulet, just a white item, these sell for a ton because endgame players will chance them over and over to try and get the unique amulet equivalent that this will roll into. But you're gonna see people listing it for super duper cheap, which means that you gotta go multiple pages down before you start seeing its actual value, which last I checked is over 100 exalt. There are some other items that will have good value like that, like apparently sapphire rings as white are okay. They're not great, but you can usually sell them for like 5, maybe 20 a pop. Depends what the current market is at. Unfortunately, because you have to do it through the website and because the website is so unreliable with nailing down a proper pricing, it does mean that you gotta do a lot of back and forth, which is why those third-party apps on PC anyways can make the process a lot easier.